This conference will now be recorded.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So just for the rest of you, basically we were at a conference here in San Jose, and I was in the audience listening to all the really interesting presentations, and I just kind of figured we were missing a little bit, like this kind of roundup of how this ecosystem is forming and emerging and changing. So got together with a couple colleagues who helped me shape this, and I think it's a little bit of a living document. And it's just for your information, basically nothing like too special. So we gathered up all the companies, kind of like a little bit more traditional sense about where they belong. Is it a boundary? Is it like a being used as a design style? Are they producing IP? EDA, and so on and so on. And I think we'll probably over time, like maybe continue adding to the categories, as was pointed out last week, that there are some that are like unique to this ecosystem. So I just kind of wanted to share that. We did post on LinkedIn. There's, I think, like a wiki page that you guys have created, which this can go to, and it can be kind of like in a Google Doc, and you can download it, Will, and show to your, kind of exec team and the extended audience. The one thing I'll remark is that there's a couple different views, but what I did is I took the liberty of adding hyperlinks to the logos. So if you just click there, like in the case of larger companies, it's going to go to probably like an announcement that they made that indicates, or some other informational thing regarding chiplets, not the main website. And then in the case of the smaller companies, it's just a landing page for the website. So that's how it's organized. You can probably, see how there's overlap already. Like, in the case of Cadence and Synopsys, they're bridging both IP and EDA. That might come true for some of the other, companies. And like I said, I think that particular to this area, we might see new fields. Like, for example, in the case of people who are doing, like, let's say, integration, or doing the data stack, or maybe special packaging or special materials, or even security and things like that. So yeah, that's pretty much what I just wanted to share.
And I think we were one of our debates is whether to split the IP two things. One, are there any other companies which you think belong on this list? And the second is whether the IP category has to, the design, either the IP or the design services category has to be split into sort of integration services and design services.
Yeah.
And then there's slides 2 and 3 of, in terms of mapping onto where the value chain is.
Yeah, it's a different look, but sort of the same, the same sort of concept, I guess.
Oh, this was mine. All right. Any thoughts, questions?
Yeah, I think it's great, actually. I was looking for this just the other day, so it's very helpful. I think chiplet.us might be a suggestion to add to this under the design services.
Okay. Chiplet.us, okay. Okay, sounds good. Anybody else have any further inputs?
There are a couple of companies that we have spoke with or even worked with on this. Instead of throwing out their names, I'd rather reach out to them and see if they have interest. I can't imagine why they wouldn't, but just to be.
Sure. Yeah, if you quietly can do that, and they want to be added, then let me know. Just you can drop me a note on LinkedIn, or Poppy has my email. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm trying to figure out who's speaking at the moment. Is this
Oh,
this
it's
Rajiv?
Raj. Yeah, Rajiv. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, all right.
yeah.
Still getting the voices sorted out here. So, but yeah,
I
you
know.
got it.
I know. It's hard to say. You're right.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
okay, Rajiv, will do. This is very good, by the way.
Good.
I
Okay. Yeah, I just want to be kind of helpful. I mean, you guys have a lot of resources that are posted already. I think it's great. I myself have learned a lot, by attending some of the conferences, and Bapi and I just met, kind of informally yesterday and talking about, other areas. So I very enthused about this vision of kind of creating a new economy. I think that's maybe a little different than what we've seen before. So keep up the good work for everybody who's really doing stuff in this area.
Rajiv, there is also a foundry that I think I can safely feel like they wouldn't mind. Global Foundries.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's not a surprise. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know quite a few of the people there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Rajiv, quick question on the EDA vendors. Who are
Yeah.
the last two? The bottom two?
Yeah. That's
With
yeah.
just the logo.
Yeah. It's actually kind of a small company. There's the one on the left is Anomi, I think, if I'm pronouncing that right, and the other is Thras Systems. They're both. It was pointed out to me on LinkedIn. That I think they're kind of like pretty small at this stage, but yeah, unfortunately, on their logo, in some cases, it's not. It's kind of like the crypto world, right? Like you just see like
Yep.
the symbol for ETH. You're supposed to know it's Ethereum. So,
Good. Thank you.
yeah. Yep.
Is
Okay.
there any other? I think the other one big is, can anybody think of any other slices? Are there any buckets that or categories that we should further refine this into?
Well, I don't think there'll be anything to go into the bucket yet, but just chiplet vendors.
Chiplet vendors. I guess we'd split IP vendors into IP vendors and chiplet vendors.
Well, yeah, chiplet is, in my mind, just a manufactured instantiation of IP.
Mm. Yeah.
But presumably there's more labor and love that goes into a chiplet than into IP, or
Well, it's just where the labor happens, right? I mean, if you're doing an SoC and you're integrating the IP into the overall design, then there's still a lot of work that you do there. If you're designing a chiplet, and that's all that you're going to manufacture, then that's kind of what it's all about, right? Is to be able
right?
to mix and match the IP.
Yeah. Completed, through, test and verified and all that.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the catalog, right? It's like picking up the old TI logic.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Wait, I think there's a strong overlap between what is labeled design and what you're calling as chiplet, referring to as chiplet vendors, John. Like if I look at the names D-Matrix, Ventana, Iron Labs, Dream Big, I mean, we could have called this in either direction. I think we went with, this can also be product for all practical purposes.
Well,
It can, but we go back to like last week's discussion where, for example, somebody listed here may not be a vendor. They're just using it for their own consumption.
Right. So your bottom line, your bottom row is pretty much vendors. Your above that is internal
True.
consumption.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that may not be fixed, right? Like, because as we were talking, yesterday, they could see value in essentially, being, introducing chiplets into the library. So it's probably going to be open to that. But I don't know. I think we'll, we might be able to break it up a little bit, or maybe add another.
so taking an IP vendor, one guy that's not in there is Flex Logics. which is an FPGA IP vendor.
Yeah, they're up here to the top right.
Okay, yeah, I got them. Yep. So, all right, sorry about that. But Anachronics is there too. But neither of these guys, to my knowledge, sell a FPGA chiplet that you could take and try and integrate into a.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So that's kind of my point.
Yeah.
Ideally, we want to get to the point of where I can pull out an FPGA chiplet, a RAM chiplet, a RISC-V chiplet, maybe a DDR4 interface with a a bunch of wires interface on it that's going to interconnect to a processor that has a bunch of wires interface on it.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure my vision is probably a little different than everyone else's, but I think eventually that's where we want to go, right? We're able to quickly and elegantly leverage the work of other IP vendors that have done the heavy lifting in getting their IP, through the design process, and LVS-DRC laid it out, and we're just able to plop it down and use it as an interface.
Yeah.
I apologize, guys. Let me get myself muted here.
I think there's going to be a lot of overlap, right? And system, as I think it's already been stated, that things will change, right? Because some customers will, some companies. I mean, I know Acronix has announced they are doing chiplets, going to be doing something in the automotive space, right? So I don't know exactly what it is going to be, but we also are at Your Chip are working on that, sort of doing chiplets, although we're in the design services bucket. So I think there's a lot of change. I think the real value of this slide, frankly, is just showing the large number of vendors and the whole ecosystem, rather than trying to make sure everything's in the right bucket. The more I think about it, right? I think that's the main thing here, is there's a lot going on, right? Yeah. And then I do buy the point, though, that at the end of the day, you definitely want to get to chiplets for sale and where the ecosystem is, but there just isn't much for sale right now. So it's probably, so once there is, I think for sure that should be the thing in the middle, is the chiplets for sale, right? Or the chiplet ecosystem or chiplet market, however you want to do it, right?
Yes.
So,
right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we'll keep it in mind, and then if we really feel like it's time to separate the category or introduce a new one, then we'll just change it. So like I said, this, it's a very fluid document. We'll just keep updated, and then, like create a repository somewhere that it can be accessed, and then you can include it as part of your decks, and, every time you're making presentations to your own management teams, or however you see fit. Cool. Okay, great. Yeah, thanks.
Any other thoughts, questions before we move off this topic?
No, just again, good work.
All right, great. Thanks.
Yeah, I like this slide. Very nice.
All right, cool. All right, thanks, Poppy. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Rajiv.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Cliff, if we wanted to use this, I guess we'll have to figure out whether it has to be a contribution, or we could just use it as is, right?
Yeah, no, whatever. Like,
it might be some.
I think actually, I was just wondering if we couldn't actually have this as a link to a PDF off of the what do you say, main page or something, and anyone that wants to look at the current map of the economy ecosystem,
right,
can just click on it and see it, and then we can keep it as a living document and update it.
Yeah, that's how we'll have it. I think Marek, was suggesting something. Was that probably the best location, Bapi?
Yeah, either the one of the two wikis, either the main wiki or the business group wiki will end up being a good location.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm happy to include it once you have a version that I can upload to Google Drive.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds
Thanks.
good. Thanks. Yeah.
All right. Before we move to the Global Summit, a quick reminder that HIP chips, the second iteration in 2023 and the third iteration overall is tomorrow on online. There's a link somewhere. So we've got Suresh and JP and from our regulars who are presenting, and there's a lot on UCIe and a bunch of other things as well. So I'll pull. It's all online, and I think there's a Zoom link somewhere on the Git page. So a DJ is on his way to Orlando. Otherwise, he'd be doing the 2-minute plug for the conference. I'm happy to see this gaining momentum year over year. Okay, then any questions about HIP chips? All right, third topic on our agenda. Sorry, go ahead. Third topic on our agenda is the Global Summit. Cliff, do you want me to get started, or would you like to do the honors?
Oh, you go ahead, Boppy. I'll join in after.
All right. So our goal, as Cliff said up front, is to I sent out a call for papers. Today is the deadline. We typically try to do 3 things at the Global Summit. One is provide an update on our on the progress of the various work streams. 2 is highlight products based on the work in this in our project. So if you've got implementations of a bunch of wires, if you've got implementations of CDXML, or if you've got a platform which uses either BOW or UCIe, we'd love to hear from you. And one of the other things that if you submit it, then I think, as Cliff says, we make the case for a longer, larger session at the conference. Then the third thing we want to do, obviously, is highlight anybody else who has some interesting products of their own then in the open chiplet economy. And finally, the intent is to organize the entire session around this idea of an open chiplet economy that seems to be gaining some steam in terms of in terms of the way people think about how the work of the ODSA is organized. And finally, the last thing we're trying to do this year, which is new, is pull together chiplet products into an experience center. So if you've got a product that uses CDXML or that uses a BO interface, we'd like to arrange a demo stand about a demo stand aggregated in one place at the on the showroom floor. And if you've been to the OCP Global Summit, you know that the showroom floor gets a lot of traffic. Cliff, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Just to remind people that in terms of the presentation proposal, all you need to have right now is an abstract of what you want to present. You don't need the entire presentation. So even if you're hearing about it for the first time today, which is unlikely, you still have time to think about it intellectually and put together a short abstract and put in a proposal.
And Taufik, did you want to go over your chiplet related proposal? You said you.
Sorry for the submissions. You mean, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So I submitted 2. One, 2 years ago we had a very nice panel. We had Microsoft, Intel, the government actually from the DOE, and one university. And it was all about data center sustainability and what each company is doing to basically on 2 fronts. One on power reduction and the other one on, cleaner energy, if you like, more sustainability. And this one, I submitted one just like if you like a continuation, look over the progress over the last 2 years, especially with new demand with the AI, basically, and look at the revise our power projections, and also again what each company is doing in sustainability. So it's going to be Microsoft. I talked to DJ yesterday. He suggested that he'll be representing Meta. So we have Microsoft, Meta, Intel, AMD, and possibly NVIDIA, where I'm talking to NVIDIA. So that's one submission. The other submission is just about AMD's design practices for energy efficient GPUs, if you like. The design, architectural innovation, all of that goes into, how do you take all these microwatt level optimizations and get some significant power reduction for the entire GPU. These are the two submissions, Bapi.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
So if you have anything, today is the day to get in. I know that I've been discussing submissions with quite a few people. So if you have any questions, now is the time to bring them up. If there's somebody else you think we should reach out to and ask them to submit it, today is also the time to submit a proposal. Today is also the time to bring it up, either online or let me know offline. And I'm happy to reach out and ping them. Okay, any questions, thoughts? Let's see. Cliff, do you want to talk about I think the last item on our agenda, which time pending, was the idea of this marketplace and a chiplet marketplace. Did you want to discuss it for a few minutes?
Sure. I do actually. So we've continued to have discussions with some of the emerging players in the market that would like to have a place to display their chiplet related offering once they're available, and the OCP would like to be the place where people come to look for chiplets, either showcasing chiplets that are available from various vendors based upon using a bunch of wires as a spec, or even chiplets that are described in CDXML, no matter what chiplet interconnect they use. So our intent is to use the chiplet marketplace to help build the economy that we believe should be open, but also help promote the use of CDXML. We are hoping to launch this section of the OCP market in the OCP marketplace by the Global Summit, so stay tuned. There's still early plans in the works for that. That's mostly what I think I could share with people right now. Bobby, did I miss anything around the OCP marketplace and the expansion to include a chiplet exchange?
I don't think so. Our original intent was anything in terms of timeline, and maybe that was the one that's.
Yeah, so I still like to see that come live by Global Summit in October. Would be the time frame we're shooting for.
And part of our sort of reason for sharing this rather vague in its early stage, maybe is the easier way to put it, is whether if this audience has any questions, thoughts on what would make this exchange more useful, or is it just is a listing of chiplets useful? Is there other attributes? Whatever comes to your mind.
I was just going to say it would be nice to grade it as chiplets in development so people can get an early view on who's developing what. And then, what stage are they prototyped, or if there's production or data sheet, organized in some way. I'm sure that's kind of the way it'll be done, but I just wanted to make sure that's kind of the way it'll be, because I think that as there aren't many chiplets for sale right now, right? But as you know, there's stuff in flight. So once people can actually give specs out and want to promote it, then that would be a perfect place for that to get, early engagement with customers and things like that. So I think so. That was just my.
Yeah, that's good advice, and we'll definitely take that under advisement and look at that. The other element that I think we'd also consider is if someone has an IP block that might not yet be a chiplet, but they want to describe the datasheet for their IP block in CDXML, that we would also consider that could have a valid place in the marketplace.
Yeah, that's a good point. So are people starting to use CDXML, or is it still in a stage where it's still early?
I don't have any direct numbers. My guess is it's in a stage that's still early, partially because it's not yet a full JEDEC standard. Actually, that's a good point you made. Over the summer, Boppy and I have been talking about making a push, visiting with some of the IP block vendors and the tool vendors that have not already, officially signed up for CDXML, to encourage them to do so and find a way to give them a spot on the marketplace under the new chiplet economy, so that they have an encouragement to use CDXML in a broader way.
No, I think it's a good idea.
The general intent is to be early. It definitely useful earlier in the design process, at least as a catalog of this is a list of chiplets available, and there's a sort of first order information, and the rest you can get under NDA directly from the vendor.
Oh, I have some late breaking news. Somebody just flashed up in my team chat here. The call for papers is extended till Monday. Not because we are short of submissions. We currently have 256 submissions, and last year at this time we had 202. And last year we finished up at over 300. So you have till Monday. Maybe I shouldn't have told people, but in case you needed it, you can now take the weekend and submit on Monday.
Okay.
Cliff, a quick question on the submission process. There's 3 options here: breakout session, future technologies, and sponsor session. Where do we submit for CDXML?
That would be under server. If you look at the small print under server, you would see ODSA there as the project. So you'd submit under server, and it would be a breakout session.
A breakout session under server, okay.
Because that's where the project structure is, and when we do the call for papers, we just follow the project structure, but that's not limiting us. When we see the amount of submissions and we strategically look at the different tracks that we have, I'll be advocating, if there are enough quality submissions, to pull all the ODSA work out on chiplets into a separate track. A separate breakout session, sorry. We're now using the term breakout sessions to be more like other conferences where you have, the keynotes and breakout sessions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Since we have a couple of minutes, I'll just do a quick check for opens. Jin or Zhang? Anything on your mind? Alan, Vishwa? Alan's been uncharacteristically quiet.
I'm good, thanks.
Kind of empty without you saying something, Alan.
All right, all good.
Vishwa?
Yeah. Nothing from you, Papi.
Anu, Kash, anything on your mind?
Nope.
I think we're good.
Trent, John?
No.
Rajiv, Nick? Sorry, go ahead, John.
Oh, no, I was just going to say I'm good.
All right. Rajiv, Nick?
I'm good too.
All right. Quinn, Michael?
Nothing on my side.
Thank you. Nothing from me. Thank you.
All right. Other Michael?
Well, mate, everything's okay, maybe. Thank you.
All right. Tawfiq, James?
None on my side, maybe.
Quick thing, so the slide for the submission, when will be that due?
Say that again, please.
For the slides for the.
The slides are probably due sometime in August, is my memory. They're about a month before the summit.
Okay.
There'll be a first draft due in August and a final draft due a month before. So it'll be about 6 to 8 weeks. I'm going on memory here, but it's usually about 6 to 8 weeks. There's a review, and then you get feedback, and you get a couple of weeks to fix it. And that couple of weeks, the final version is due about 3 to 4 weeks before the summit.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
so
good.
The final slides are due September 27th. So I think the draft slides are going to be due, like Poppy said, 4 to 6 weeks before that, and then there'll be a review period.
Okay, yeah, I don't see that information in the submission, so I'm just kind of like checking on it. We might be working on some CVXML and submitting some proposals.
All right, that sounds good. Marek, Shahab?
Nothing, thank you.
Hey, Marek, I pushed the business group update back, or I can switch with you, but or I push you back to July, basically. David, anything on your mind?
No, nothing else.
All right. In that case, everyone, happy Friday, and see you next week for John's talk.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Thanks.